Hi guys, good afternoon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my Java lessons. So far I have lectured to you 3 Java lessons, and today, this afternoon, I will present you Java lesson 4. And without wasting any time, I'd like to start up our lessons. By the way, for presenting these lessons, I've been using JetBrains IntelliJ IDEA development environment, and so far so good. So when we start with our lesson 4, we use this Java file. I have already prepared all these files before presenting you, and this file belongs to package lesson 4, so I have to mention all the time for this lesson, because this is not a default package. So as long as it is different from default package, you have to mention it at the very beginning, and after that you can define your class and so on. Here I'd like to give you an example of a list. I define a list, and here TMP, temporary list, and its members are 5, 8, 9 and 3, and I simply would like to print out a temp with index 2. Just how to count this, starting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this list is 4 lengths of 4 members of length, and the second 1, 2, 3. This is the second index member. Okay, 9 will be printed here. And how about the next one? Okay, I here would like to give an example of arrays here. Okay, for this purpose, I define an object of this new one. Okay, so it's gonna have 5 elements starting from 0 up to 4, and actually when I define this array, it is an empty array in fact. So just by mentioning its index number and by assigning a value to array, it's gonna have one member. And I here define another array. This time its name is my names, and it's gonna be a string array in fact, and it's gonna have 4 members such as A, B, C and D, and by means of this print line method, I'd like to print out my string array, my names, with numbers, with index number 2. So just by counting starting from 0, 0, 1, 2, so it's gonna print out C to the screen, at the screen. And how about this integer array? So as I said before, it is an empty array in fact. Okay, when I run this one, it's gonna print out 0. However, I here assign a value to the array with index numbers 2. So after printing this line, it's gonna print out 42 to the screen. Once again, C is printed, and 0 is printed, and 42 is printed. Okay, this is the second element, and 0 because it was empty at the very beginning, and this is also assigned by means of this command. Okay, let's go with another one. this time I'd like to get it printed the length of this array. In fact, okay, we know it, 5 just stands for the length. And however, this example has been given in order to teach you integer array dot length structure will print out, will give the length of this array, or the number of arrays in an array. It's gonna print out 5. Okay. And this one, we're going on with Java arrays, you guys. This case, I'd like to define an integer array, my array. So it has 4 members, such as 6, 42, 3, and 7. And at the very beginning, I define a counter as sum, and it's initialized to 0. And by means of this structure, just you can look here. Okay. By means of this structure, I repeat this sum, this addition, for each step up to the length of this array. Just when we focus on this structure, each time x will be increased by 1. So my array dot length will be the upper limit. So it's not going to be included, just would be excluded. And it's repeated 4 times. And each time within this curly brackets, okay, just we can see here, the existing array value will be added to sum. So at the end of this loop, for loop, it's going to print out sum of all the elements of this my array. So 42, 52, 58 is going to be printed out on the screen. 58, 58. Okay. 58, as I said, is gonna print out on the screen. Okay, another array example. This time I define my array. So I define a sum counter. So it's gonna be double integer, double value, double type. So with decimal point, this loop just will continue up to 4, excluding 4, 4. And each time its x value will be increased by 1. And within the loop process, some value will be increased by the current member of my array. So each time this process will be repeated, and at the end of this loop it becomes 3. It's gonna print, it's gonna sum up the last element, and after that out of this block I'd like to get it printed the sum value like this. Okay, 58. However, this time 58.0, because we have already defined our sum variable as a double type. And how about the next one? I here give another example. I define here a primes array so as to include 2, 3, 5, 7. And we know prime numbers. Okay, just I'd like to print out all members of this prime array. So just I can use for loop in order to get it printed all the members. So the structure is very simple. This is the counter. Okay, it's gonna be iterated each time. Integer t semicolon primes. So primes is the name of my array. So each time this is gonna print it, and we can say that in each turn the next element will be printed out on the screen like this. 2, 3, 5, 7. How about the next one? I here define a total counter. Total is gonna initialized as 0, and I define primes integer array 2, 3, 5, 7, and this time I construct another for loop here. It's gonna have t variable integer as integer, and it's gonna iterate it on primes. Prime is this array, as you see, and each time the total or 0 value is added up to with this variable. So each time the value of t will be added to the total counter. And just before finishing all the process, I'd like to get it printed as subtotal, and this is the paraphrasing expression, and concatenates the total amount, and at the end of the block that I would like to get it printed as grand total, or the final total. This is the title, and it's concatenated by means of a plus sign, and it's gonna seen together with general total, grand total, and total value. How about next one? I here would like to show you an example of two-dimensional arrays. Two-dimensional arrays are very similar to the one-dimensional array. Okay, this time you have to place two pairs of brackets, square brackets, and this is the structure for a two-dimensional array. In fact, so I'd like to get it printed, this sample. Just this sounds a bit nonsense, because when I recall this method, this command will bring the memory address of this sample, not itself, not its contents. So in order to describe or differentiate the element that which we are mentioning, which we are intending to print out or to process, we have to indicate it with two coordinates. This is one and this is the other, and I here define an x variable so as to assigned as 1 and 0 elements of this sample array, and after that I simply recall print line method. I here make it run. Just as you can see, it's not a pure number, just seems like a memory location, memory indexer, and 4 is stands for this number 0 1 1 0 1 0. That's the 1 0. That's corresponding to 1 0, the element 4. And how about the next one? I here define another two-dimensional array, you guys. Here I define it as a string, so it's gonna have 1 2 3 1 2 3 6 elements. So by mentioning array 1 and 1, so I'm mentioning that I am indicating that this is 0 and this is 1, this is 0 and this is 1. Johnson will be printed out on the screen according to our definition. Here is an example of two-dimensional arrays, and once again I define my array, integer my array, double quotes, empty quotes, brackets, and this is the first, this is the second, this is the third members. So just by means of this formula, just I can define my array with index numbers 0 and 2, such as 42, and here I define an integer, my array 1, 0, 1, 0, and when I recall this print line method, x will be printed out. So just when I look here, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. Okay, so 42 it is gonna be replaced with 3. And how about my array members with index 1 and 0? This is 0, this is 1 and 0. 4. It's gonna be printed the number, the figure 4 at the end of this line. 4 will be printed out. Okay, just we can see this is it. And this is another two-dimensional array example. I here define my array, integer array, so as to include 358, 754, 112, 2. And I'd like to get it printed, my array with index 0 and 2. This is 0, how about 2? 0, 1, 2. Okay, just I'm mentioning the element 8, in fact. Okay. How about the next one? This time I define an array, an instance of an object of integer, new integer 3. So I define here a for loop here, so as to assign one by one to this array. So this is the initial value x 0, and this is the upper limit. So x I will be 1 0 1 2, however not 3, and this is the increment value, and which function will be repeated as long as this loop becomes valid. Okay, IE array I will be assigned, and at the end of this block, okay, I would like to add one member to the other. That's to say, I'd like to add the members with index number 0 to with index number to the same array. So after that, I'd like to get it printed. So just we can see that 0 and 1 will be printed on the screen. 3 will not be included, so 2 will be printed out on the screen. How about the next example? I here define a result variable, and this time my index counter starts from 0 and up to 5. It's going to increase one by one, and as long as whenever I becomes 3, it's going to perform this line. Okay. However, as long as I does not equal to 3, so it's gonna perform this line and this block. And what will be done when we run this file, you guys? Just we can see that it's repeated for 5 times, in fact, starting from 0 up to 4, and each time it's gonna add a 10 value to our result. At the very beginning, our result counter is initialized to 0, so 10 will be only 1, 10, 11, and 12, and 14. 14 will be printed out. Okay, just I said. Yes, guys, so far I have presented you 4 Java lessons, and hopefully there will be a Turkish version of this Java lessons, and each lesson I especially would like to present you bountiful examples, and in this lesson we have also told you 10 examples, and thanks for your watching me, thanks for your time, and see you up to next lesson. Bye bye.